Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Day 1 of March Madness is officially underway. Doogie was telling me a bunch of brackets are already busted, which basically 3-4 games in, you just know it, you know. Although anyone that thinks they're ever going to get a perfect bracket, it's impossible. Like it's just
they were
never going to
offering
happen.
like $1 million for a perfect bracket at some contest.
Yeah, well, was I remember it. It was Warren Buffett who offered it, which was so insulting because he knew the math. The chances of a perfect bracket, it's like trillions to one. Trillions to one. And he's like, I'll give you $1 million. I'm like, you're worth $300 billion or something. If I get a perfect bracket, you're going to give me $1 million. Yeah, maybe make it $1 billion. Put half your worth up for grabs. Then you actually have the stones.
There's upsets the first day.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Like last year, there were a bunch of them. And like I'm looking at it right now. I don't even know what school this is. McNeese Cowboys are up by 20 on the Clemson Tigers. Clemson's a 5 seed and McNeese is a 12 seed. So
is Duke even alive without their dude there?
Yeah, he's playing though. Cooper Flagg, he's playing. He's going to play tomorrow. They're in action tomorrow. So
you like when someone picks one of the upsets and like I called that.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Like, you know. I knew McNeese would win. Oh, really? You've got some sort of insight on McNeese. That's why, again, there was a school, like we were out this morning, O and I, and I'd never heard of this place before.
No.
And it's in the tournament. So there's underdogs.
You guys didn't do a lunch after? Is that on part of your...
No, it was too early, man. It was like 10 in the morning, 10:30. We were burning. This guy was trying to get unblocked by Brandel Chambly. He had bigger and better things to do than deal with me and go for lunch with me.
What message do you think your coach sent to him? Like,
well,
I got
they're
this
golf
guy.
colleagues, so he probably just said, hey, man, there's this guy that I work with. Years ago, he said something stupid. You blocked him, and just unblock him. He's a good dude. I think that's the extent of it. I don't think there's anything more to it.
Okay.
But he obviously unblocked me, and then he tossed the follow as well.
There you go. So now everything's moving in the right direction here for the O-Dog and online.
Now there's going to be DMs on Sunday at golf tournaments happening.
I love it. Okay, well, I mean, you got off to a good start with the picks at the Players. We're going to have more picks moving forward. Again, the Masters right around the corner. We got Struddy coming up here in just a moment. The Oilers are in action tonight. Leon Draisaitl not playing. And not much of an update on what the injury is. All his coach, Knobloch, would say is day-to-day. And I think it'd be very normal for him in private to be thinking of the Hart Trophy and the pursuit of it and how amazing it would be. You can't say it publicly.
But he's won it before.
He has won it before, but so has McKinnon. You know, McKinnon's going for it again. It's an incredible accolade. Like, who was it recently that said, it was Cam Newton, said he would not give up his MVP trophy for a Super Bowl.
That's about right.
Dude,
He said that, though.
I think it's a crazy comment, man. I really do.
He made the case.
Give me his case.
That, you know, a Super Bowl is a team achievement where an MVP means you're one of one. At that point, you were the greatest player in the world.
I know. You know what it reeks of? It reeks of a guy that didn't win a championship.
Yeah.
Like that's what a guy says that didn't win a championship. I'll take an MVP over a... Like, come on, man.
Do you think there's any athletes out there that would trade in their championship ring for an MVP?
I think there's probably some, yeah.
I think
there's
there's
so
too.
narrow-minded
I
that
think
you just
there is
that
too.
there would be guys that are so egotistical that they thought they got screwed in the past. I mean, there's all kinds of like MVP races where you're like, oh, that could have gone either way. You know that there's athletes that sit in their basement and stew about it.
What about multiple
Stew
cup
about
winners?
it.
So in other words, let's say you're a player that has 2 Stanley Cups, using hockey as an example, and do you think? I think it's very likely they would trade one of those for a Hart Trophy.
So let's say Sid. I think Sid has 3 cups.
Yeah,
right.
But Sid's won the Hart Trophy multiple times.
I don't think he's won it that many times.
He's won it twice, I believe.
Is it twice?
Yeah, which is staggering that he did not win it more, but he's won it twice. I hear you, but I don't.
A lot of
I don't want
injuries early on with Sid.
Yeah, in his prime, right? Like the concussions, and he was just battling with other great players that were having great seasons.
I think it's kind of a loser move, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah. You want to like the
strong
players to
from
win.
Jonas.
Yeah.
Like that?
Well, and what I was getting to with
know.
Draisaitl is, like, now is load management a priority, but if he doesn't play a lot down the stretch, he's not going to win the Hart. Like, if they have 15 games left and he misses 7 or 8, I think McKinnon will likely pass him, and there's a chance Hellebuck will pass him. And
Really?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because everything, like we saw with Taylor Hall years back, like the last 15 games, the excitement that he created, it's almost like worth 3/4 of the season.
Yeah.
As opposed to just 10 or 15 games, because it's recency bias, it's fresh on everybody's mind, the importance of him getting the Devils into the playoffs and having like 42 more points than the next guy on his team. It was electric, and it caused a lot of people to say, I'm voting for that guy.
Yeah, and that's when the votes go in. They go in at the end of the year when recency bias, like O said, I think is a big part of it. Like, you have to play yourself into it. You're not going to just say, well, this guy had a great 2 weeks, so he gets it. Like, it's a narrow field already. Yeah. It's already narrowing
Nobody's
down.
popping up and going to surprise anyone with a Hart Trophy.
There's 3 guys. It's Draisaitl, Hellebuck, or McKinnon. One of them is going to win the Hart Trophy. But whoever plays A, the most, and B, the best, I think will win it, because I do think it's a 3-horse race right now. I think you can make a very compelling case for all 3 guys.
Would you put... See, I would put Makar in my top 5, I think.
Top 5, but you wouldn't give it. You wouldn't hand him. Would you give him the Hart Trophy?
I was thinking about it last night, and then I was just like, "Oh man, McKinnon."
He's having a great year, but it's not some like out of this world.
He'll score like 30 goals. He plays a million minutes.
Unreal.
Here's one for you, Hayes.
Unreal.
What would you rather have? A Hart Trophy, a Stanley Cup, or a Spangler Cup?
I don't know if I can give you an answer with a straight face. That is
because there's
one,
some greats
yeah,
that got the Spangler, and that's it.
Start, sit, cut. I'm not sure how I lay that out.
I don't either.
But Spangler's not getting cut. I can tell you that. Spangler will not be cut. Here he is from the Got Your Back podcast, former NHLer, former Spangler Cup great. Joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline, here's Jason Strudwick. What's up, Struddy?
I'm good. But listen, you guys, you got to qualify that because, I've told you guys, you never say it properly. I carried a team on my back to a silver medal at the Spangler Cup.
Okay.
Hang on a second here. Silver? You've been telling us all this time it was a gold.
No, I was always been clear. I don't lie about that. The truth is it's a silver, and I did. I put 17 other players on my back, dragged them to a silver medal. Sure, we lost in the final. I might have been -2, but I still played really well.
Okay. Well, let me present this question because it's been a hypothetical that we've been running through the last few minutes. Would you give up your Spangler Cup silver medal for a Norris Trophy in the NHL?
That's as hard as it would be. I'd let down 17 other guys. I guess I'd have to.
Selfish if you take the Norris. Selfish.
I know.
Not a team player.
You know what's so funny is I got my first contract. Back then there wasn't like it was like maybe I don't know a handful of pages, and I'm going through it looking. Yeah, this looks good. Whatever, $400,000, everything's good. Bonus Norris Trophy, like $50,000. I'm like, that's all I get if I win the Norris Trophy. Like I couldn't believe it. I used to think because that was before bonuses were capped. You could have as much as you wanted.
Right.
You could put a $50 million in there. It wasn't like I was ever going to get it.
Yeah, no kidding. What is what like? Why waste everyone's time with a $50,000 bonus on a Norris Trophy? That is good. Yeah, exactly. You may have just said, you know what? I'd like that taken out because if I win it,
you got to make that $350. Like at least get your attention, Struddy.
Well,
to do
it
some
should.
extra work
It should be like what you're
something.
talking about with Warren Buffett. Like just put like $5 million.
yeah, put something crazy out there.
It's
And if
not
I achieve
happening.
it, I mean, think about how lucky they are to have you winning a Norris and making $400,000. I mean, everything would balance out for them.
I would have tried way harder. Way
Yeah.
harder. Like I was like, I just want to be a second-team All-Star, not a Norris Trophy winner.
Exactly. You would have raised the bar on expectations and what you were pursuing. Well, the reason we brought this up is that Draisaitl, Leon's not playing tonight, and not a lot of information on what's going on with him and just day to day. And it's him and McKinnon and Hellebuck chasing a Hart Trophy, and he may have the upper hand on those two guys. I think based on an odds perspective on FanDuel, that's exactly what's happened. But if he misses 7 or 8 games here, Strud, I think he may take himself out of that. Like, I think McKinnon might pass him or Hellebuck might pass him. Fairly or unfairly, I think playing games, especially down the stretch, is really what you need to get over the top when you have a 3-horse race like this. Do you see it that way, and how important do you think it would be for Draisaitl to win another Hart Trophy?
You know, that injury, to me, it looks like a bit of a hamstring issue. I had a similar thing happen in an old-timers game. Now, I got points in the game after I was injured, but whatever. I'm sure that...
Battler.
I'm sure Leon... Yeah, whatever. I mean, let's not make that about my greatness compared to Leon's. But, you know, I think there's a recency bias. Like, people, their memory of what happened. Like, Leon's been an absolute beast for the Oilers this year. Absolute beast. He's destroying the scoring race for goals. Like, what's the next closest guy? Is it 10 or 11 or something last I checked? So he's killing it. And he's been great defensively. And, you know, McDavid's had a bit of an off year for him. And he's been an absolute beast. And his line mates haven't always been, you know, maybe pure top 6 forward. So he's doing a lot of damage here. So if he is out, I do think it does because of the fact that it won't be in at that moment. He won't remember. That people will forget where he's at. But let's be clear, and Leon said it before, it's cup or bust. Like, they want to win a Stanley Cup. He's won his Hart Trophy. And, yeah, it'd be cool to have 2. But the difference between 0 and 1 is massive. The difference between 1 and 2, I don't think it's that big a deal because you already have one. But he doesn't have a Stanley Cup. So I think he's going to make sure that he will take the time required to make sure that whatever this injury is, he is good to go and healthy. So when he comes back and now they're in a stretch run, he'll be at 100% for the playoffs.
Strud, what's your confidence level that they can find the magic again? There's been some different parts of their game that have disappeared and have caused for concern, I guess you could call it. Like the Florida Panthers, I thought people said, you know what, they're hungry and they're going to get back right away, and they did it and they won. Are you confident that the Oilers are going to do that or have the capabilities to do that?
I am, and their game's taken up. They're getting some support scoring, which I think is important. Nugent Hopkins come alive, Hyman, you know, even now Arvidsson, 3 goals in 6 games. That's pretty impressive. But I think it's the defensive posture in front of their netminder that's going to really get them over the top. Last 3 games, 1 goal against, and that's what they've been built on. I believe that, yeah, they have a lot of scores, but that 1 goal against, and then that helps the play of the goaltender, and then their penalty kill. Those are, to me, 2 underlying qualities this team needs to have to win, and we're starting to see them come together.
All right. Yeah, listen, they're picking up wins, right? They're picking up wins recently in Edmonton, and for me, and they got Ekholm back, which is big, and you mentioned Nugent Hopkins. He's been playing up the middle of the ice, and yet it's the goaltending that I think at the end of the day we continue to come back to. And I'm curious where you stand on Skinner, because he's had an up and down year. I'd say more down than up. But what makes you believe that come playoff time, even if the rest of the team has elevated their game and they look like they're hungry to do what Florida did, that Skinner can kind of follow their lead or maybe lead them to where they've got to go?
2 things. 1, he has done it before. Now, has it been imperfect in every playoffs? No. But he has as much or more experience than any goalie around the league. Only guy maybe Bobrovsky the last 3 years who has more experience in the playoffs. Again, not all perfect, but he has that experience. Number 2 is that when the team is limiting chances in front and becomes more predictable, his game elevates. I think he wants to be in the right spot, let them shoot it, hit him, and he covers it up. So we've seen that the last 2 games, and when the Oilers are at their best as a team, their deep posture, that's when they're at their best. And it helps him and Pickard, or any goalie, quite frankly, a lot. And I think back to when Marty Brodeur played the Devils. You know, they were really good at kind of funneling shots from certain areas, and Marty was like, yeah, I got this. I've seen this shot so many times. So those are 2 reasons I think, yes. He's not a top 5 goalie in the league, but I think he's a guy that his stats are lower than what they should be, and I think he will be able to climb up and be a version that is required to support his team to do well in the playoffs.
So we got a bunch of Canadian teams that are currently in the playoffs, and it feels like we're going to get at least 5 that are going to make it, right? Edmonton and Winnipeg are going to get there. Toronto's going to get there. I think Ottawa's going to get there. And then one of the Habs, Vancouver, Calgary. In terms of, how you feel on a bigger picture, Strud, as we're getting closer. We're inside a month of the Stanley Cup playoffs starting, and we keep talking about this Canadian drought that's going on 32 years now. Collectively, let's say 5 teams get in, maybe 6. How do you feel about the chances of a Canadian team at least making it back to a Cup final in terms of all those tickets that are going to be punched come playoff time?
Well, I think you have to look at the top teams, right? And I think it's a great story, the Ottawa, Calgary, Montreal, and Vancouver. I think that's a great story, but I would have trouble saying that I would bet money on those teams making a deep run. I really would. So that leaves the other ones, which are Edmonton, Toronto, and Winnipeg. And of those 3, I don't know how you can't think Winnipeg's the strongest team of the 3 of them, right? They're a really good team. They're well coached, they're organized, they've got the netminder that they can obviously win a few games on his own. It's something that I don't know that Toronto or Edmonton either of those teams have. But Edmonton's been it. They've done it. Winnipeg's never done it, nor has Toronto, or not never, but in recent, those 2 clubs haven't done it. So I think I would give a nod to Edmonton and or Winnipeg over Toronto just because of those 2 reasons. Now, Toronto's got a coach that understands winning and playoffs, and they made some good moves. But I think it'll come down to those, 2 teams specifically, Winnipeg and Edmonton, and then, Toronto could be, who knows. But they're not making it easy. If they've got to play Tampa, then Florida, then whoever, that's a pretty hard road to punch through. But the more teams you have, the better chance. But it'll have to be the 2 or 3 teams that I think will have to try to do it.
Struddy, what about your Leafs? Your boy Mitchie in Austin playing well, a couple wins, back on top of the Atlantic. What are your thoughts? Because some other people, some very close to us on this show this afternoon, are just not buying in completely, and I think that you probably are, or are you not?
You know what? I've said this right from the get-go with everyone and with Craig and the whole group, is that it's great that they're getting this done now, but show me in the playoffs. Show me that you can be the team those guys can step up and do in the playoffs. And I think Mitch Marner learned a lot in that 4 Nations Cup. I really think that he understands what it means to elevate now in the big moments, and he did it in a really big moment. I mean, if you look at over that time, his first game was okay, then it kind of dipped down a bit. He was pushed down the lineup, then he was put back up because he had a good game in the final and got it done. So that's understanding that elevation. Those top players, they raise their game when they need it the most. So I wonder if, he isn't the guy that maybe becomes the catalyst to get them over the top. The problem is you're going to have to punch through, could have to punch through 2 really good teams in Florida, and that is not easy. I think finishing first is huge. I think it's huge for that Leafs team. Beating 1, maybe beating 2, that's for any team, not just the Leafs guys. I'm not just picking on them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is, you look out west, how top-heavy it is. In the East, Washington, I think, still has to prove that they can continue this through the playoffs. Until they get there and they win in the playoffs, I think there's going to be some doubt. Carolina, they go to the playoffs every year, but eventually they run out of steam or their goaltending isn't going to be good enough. I don't think Jersey's built for a run. And this is just in the East, but if you go to the West, like you said about Winnipeg, and I would agree with what you had to say, they deserve all the accolades. Yeah, they've got their own demons in the playoffs they have to overcome. But Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, those 3 teams are giants, man. I don't if you're Edmonton and you have to play Vegas in the second round and then Colorado in the third round, I don't think that's easier than the Leafs path, Struddy. Florida's a very good team, but they played more hockey than anyone the last 3 years. Tampa's a good team, but the Leafs have actually played them very well. And anyone else in the East would not scare you. That's not saying the Leafs are scaring other teams or would definitely win in those scenarios. But for me, if I'm looking at it through the lens of an Oilers fan, Vegas, Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, I'm probably have to beat it 2 of those to get to a Cup final. I don't know, man. That's a grind. That is grueling.
Yeah. No, it's a tough one. I mean, I think that the Central is really that's the real grind to get out of there.
Yeah.
I think that's really tough. And then you kind of flip to the Pacific. I think finishing first is important for the Oilers. I really think it is. And they were kind of struggling now. They seem to be kind of getting their game back. And they've got some work to do there for sure. But if they can do that, Vegas, maybe they have a quicker first round matchup, although it could be against a pretty good team. And then the second one LA and the Kings maybe have to play, or sorry, LA and Vegas. Because what I think makes the Vegas dangerous when I look at their players is that decor. They're big, they're mobile, and they take up a lot of space on the ice. Like, they are not fun to try to get through those trees to get to the middle of the ice. And I think at times the Oilers are guilty of not driving the middle of the ice. I just look at when I defend it. I love when guys just stay on the perimeter. I'll let my goalie try to stop those. But when you punch in the middle of the ice, it makes it hard. And I think they've been guilty of not doing it enough. And I think they're trying to now kind of get back in their game.
I was going to turn the tables on you guys.
Oh, yeah? What do you
I've
have
been
for
looking
us,
at this Hart Trophy stuff since you guys brought it up.
Yeah.
So McDavid has 3.
Yeah.
So I have 2 questions.
Okay.
I'm going to put the over-under for his career at 4.5. A, are you taking the over or the under? That's
Over.
1.
Under.
Wow, I'd take the under.
Under.
Hayes says you don't win hearts after 20.
I know, I heard that, and
his
it's an
big, yeah.
insane statement.
It is an
not.
insane
It's factual.
But it is, I mean, Crosby has only won 2. I looked it up.
Yeah.
And none since, I think, 2014.
Since he was like 26 years old. Yeah.
Yes, so that's one question.
Okay. Under.
So McDavid has 3. Do you think he would trade all 3 for a cup?
Yes.
Like 100%, right?
Sure. Every player would. Every player
I
would.
don't think every player would, man. I don't know if
You
every.
don't think so?
I don't know. I mean,
Maybe not all 3.
3
He'd be like,
hearts?
I'll give you 2 of them back.
3 hearts, like that's you got something on Sid, and getting 1 cup isn't going to catch Sid. Sid's got 3 of those. I don't know, man. I'd like to. I want to believe that he would say yes, but I'm not. I think publicly he would say yes. I think privately he would think that over, man.
It's like, I'll keep 1.
There'd be some pie charts going on here and Venn diagrams. Like, how do I work this out in terms of my legacy? I think so, Strud.
The record is 9.
Well, Gretzky. Like
Then 6, 4, and then a bunch of guys. Actually, not a bunch of guys. A few guys have 3.
yeah.
So if he gets 4, pretty
He'd
rare
give up 2 hearts immediately for a Stanley Cup. Clearly,
Obviously. I don't know about the
Obviously.
full 3-pack.
I don't know
The
either.
3-pack is like you're getting offensive here.
Yeah.
Like you're taking some personal things.
That's bad negotiating. Possibly, Strud. But you're saying McDavid would pounce on that. You're a believer in that.
I honestly, guys, I think winning a Stanley Cup, it drives that, like, the most elite of the elite. They want to know that they are up with the best. They want to be in that echelon of greatness. And I'm not comparing this guy as far as the high level, but what do you think Charles Barkley would be willing to change to have his
Yeah, he'd love a championship for sure.
And not the same level as Connor, but he's an elite athlete and basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that those great players, they want to walk into a room and know that they won. They were better than everybody else when it mattered in the Stanley Cup Finals. So, I don't know. I've never heard anyone say, the Stanley Cup, winning a Stanley Cup wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. Like,
it'd be a blast. What if he has to throw in the Conn Smythe too? 3 hearts and the Conn Smythe, and he gets a cup, but not the Conn Smythe and no other hearts.
I think winning the Conn Smythe in a losing effort, I think that would be a fairly easy one.
Yeah,
to give up,
he'd
right?
probably give that one up, but with
how
3
many
hearts
people
on
have done
top
that?
of
That's
it, I
a
don't
pretty
know, man.
cool thing, no?
What?
The Conn Smythe when you lose?
Yeah, only goalies
I
have
forget
ever
about
done
that.
that.
That was a bizarre scene.
Yeah.
He got called out there, and he didn't even go. I don't even think he went out, right?
No,
He didn't go.
No.
out.
I respect
But
that.
why would you? You
Yeah,
want
why
to be
would
with your
you?
teammates, right? Like,
Oh,
I think
sure.
that's a hard moment. People give him a hard time. I'm like, we just lost the Stanley Cup. You want me to walk out there and pretend happy win the thing when my buddies are inside crying? Like, I don't know. That would be. I give him a lot of break. Anyone who had to go through that, I'd be like, come on.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not fair.
I agree.
That's not fair.
And that actually might be answering the question, that he wasn't like, hey, there's a personal accolade. Got to get out there and snap a couple of picks here with Jerry and the boys.
Yeah.
All right, Strud. We'll leave it there. There's now people starting to write in some real stuff here. Brett writing in saying, do you think Yzerman would trade one of his cups for a Hart Trophy? Like Steve Yzerman
You're
won.
telling me Stevie Eyes didn't win one?
I don't think he ever won a Hart.
I have it in front of me. Let's
I don't.
Time, no.
I don't believe he
Time,
did.
but
He never did.
So he never did. So he gets to keep, 2 of his cups? And I think he'd trade one in for a Hart. I'd go 2 cups and 1 Heart.
I don't think
Dude, he
so
won
either.
3 cups, didn't he?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
Keep the cups, man.
So
Keep the cups.
I'm going 2 cups and a Heart if I'm Stevie Y.
Oh,
All day.
man.
2 cups and a Heart.
I'll toss a cup back. Give me a heart. just for the trophy
All
case.
day, man. All day. Someone sent me a DM saying, what about Scottie Pippen? You think he wouldn't trade back a 3-peat for an MVP and maybe a Finals MVP? He would. He'd still have 3 rings.
Dude, I don't even know what to think about Scottie Pippen after during COVID, the Last Dance came out, and they had the theatrics of him during one of those games where he refused to go in.
Yeah.
And it was just, it made me think twice about Scottie Pippen.
That's when Jordan was retired, and he was the man, and he was leaning into the Bulls. Yeah, it wasn't good.
When I played in Chicago, I would go to these restaurants and, some good times at night. And everyone would tell me that his nickname was No Tippin' Scottie Pippen.
That's a tough rep to have, man. Here comes No Tippin'. No Tippin' Scottie Pippen.
It was the funniest. I was dying when I heard that. So, gave the guy a big tip, too.
You got to tip, man, if you're Scottie Pippen. Like, you're making so much money, man. Although he felt like he got burned bad. That's why he went to Portland at the end of the year, right at the end of his career. But he still ended up making a lot of money. All right, Struddy. Well, we'll leave it there. I don't know if we really established anything in terms of awards for Spengler Cups and Stanley Cups and all that, but we all see it differently. Thank you for this. Enjoy the games tonight.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon. See you, boys.
There he is, Jason Strudwick, the Got Your Back podcast, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Drive the built-in Canada fuel-efficient, fun-to-drive Toyota RAV4. Gas or hybrid models available. Visit mapletoyota.com. Yeah, if I'm Stevie Y, I'm trading in a cup for a Hart Trophy all day.
But a lot of guys have won one. Like, I'm looking at the list.
One
is like,
I would
one
keep,
what Hart?
One Hart. Yeah, like once you get into 2, like you're pretty exclusive.
Yeah, then
if you win one Hart, you're like, I'll toss a Hart for a cup.
Yeah,
exactly.
All day.
Yeah, if you get one Hart, I would trade all of the other Harts for cups.
Yeah,
like all of them.
That's pretty. That's the standard idea, isn't it? Like, I think everyone would think that. You get multiple Harts, it's like overboard for cups.
Right. Do you think Matthews would trade in his Hart?
I was going to ask you,
Stanley
do you think
Cup
he would
right
trade
now?
both his 60-goal seasons for a cup?
Yeah,
I think the answer is 100.
He would do that for sure. I would think. I mean, because what do you revert it back to 50? It's a 50
What about
goal
all
season?
of his Rockets? I think he's 3.
Yeah, I think he'd trade those in for a cup for sure.
It's a legacy play, man. You think about the way people talked about Steve Yzerman, unbelievable player, unbelievable guy. But when he won those cups, it was like Steve Yzerman, the leader, the guy that blocked shots, played hurt, knew how to win. It was like it's just, and it wasn't the 135 points that went along with it. It was just all the other stuff. It's a totally different view of what Steve Yzerman was. Yeah. It was like the point producer or the leader and the guy that wanted to get it done. Well, you can argue the same thing about Ovi, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
was the sniper that never really found it around him, and they got it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think they're hoping here that that's what it becomes with Matthews, where it's like Yzerman scored a crap ton of goals forever, right? It was like, well, this guy can't win. And then it's like, now how do we think of him?
Yeah.
You don't really remember, like, he had 60-goal seasons.
Oh, yeah. He had 160 point.
Yeah, but now it's like, he just won 3. He was a winner.
Yeah, out on that 0-2 team in Salt Lake. Yeah. And exactly. Everything changes like that. All right, Keegan Matheson coming up. Are things changing when it comes to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his future as a Toronto Blue Jay? We'll get you those answers next. All right, Frankie Corrado will be in studio in about a half an hour. Big footy match tonight, too, out in L.A. Canada-Mexico. The Nations League is up for grabs, so we're going to catch up with Matthew Shinetti, who was wearing a suit on SportsCenter last night. Actually, a very dialed-in suit at that.
Did he have his, I think they're Converses he always wear?
He likes to wear a Converse shoe. Yeah, he'll wear a high top with his suit. I would guess that's probably what he's wearing out there. That's his signature play. Our next guest, his signature play is to have the beard dialed in, right? The shades looking good. He's probably got a tan going at this point. He's been down in Dunedin for a few weeks. Here he is from MLB.com.
Porch beers.
Porch beers.
He does shorts to media availability.
Has to, man.
You said that's not allowed.
I said that in hockey rinks. Baseball, I think, are different rules. Let's ask him. There he is, Keegan Matheson. What is the rule? What's the deal when it comes to wearing shorts, showing up for like media calls and scrums and stuff like that?
I wish, fellas. It's all pants down here. And as a bigger man, I think what are those Lululemon ABC pants were the most important thing that have ever happened to me in my life. I'm a large-legged man. But once I start the year like this, fellas, I'm pretty pale, but your arms, your face get tanned, and then my legs are to a point where you just can't turn it back. They look like 2 out-of-bounds sticks. It's terrible. Yeah. So I can't do it. I end up being pants all year, and it's tough, but anything really in the name of professionalism. It's my number one concern.
Keegan, what about this?
Jonas?
What if you were in a Lululemon store and they presented to you a men's like tight spandex version for man only, much like the women wear, but they said this is very comfortable, you'll like this in spring training. Would you rock it? Just a spandex
I'm open
Lululemon.
to it. I am
No,
a
you're
very
not,
quick
dude.
seller. Number one, fellas, I'll sell out fast.
Yes.
As long as it's breathable, I will become the face of these full-figured man Lulu pants. I know one of them's listening. I'm going to get that email tonight. This is going to be an exciting new era for me. I might get a few more no's on the interview requests, but I'm open to all opportunities.
Okay. Well, we appreciate the honesty, and that's a professional journalist.
I respect that because it's like 40 degrees in Florida.
You got to wear pants, man. You got to be a professional. And I guess, were you prepared for Mark Shapiro to speak today? Like, where did this kind of come from? Because I've been calling him out. I think others down in Dunedin, like with all these leaks and all the contract stuff, and Vladdy's doing interviews. I think it was long overdue. I think Shapiro had to address it. Was this always the plan, or did he actually finally react to all of the noise hanging around Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
Now, this was the plan. We normally do this as a writers' meeting this time of camp. And I was joking today, it's usually my annual check-in of how many writers are left in the world, and we're a smaller table every year. But there were 4 or 5 of us sat down with Mark today for about an hour. We normally do it about this time of camp. Was expecting it to happen. What I was not expecting was how direct he was about Vladdy right off the top. And you guys have seen the quotes. I know folks listening have, where he's saying, I think we're going to sign him. I think we're going to extend him. And he gave the reasons and the context beyond that. But listen, guys, you know this as well. Mark Shapiro does not just shoot off the cuff. He's not out here riffing with whatever comes to mind. When he speaks, it is thought out and it's meaningful. And he didn't hold back today. He was very direct about this. And frankly, fellas, I like that because we've had a lot of noise going back to when he and Ross Atkins spoke it was a full month ago. I don't know what's happened in my life since then, but a full month ago on February 18th when we heard from them. And that was a lot of words, and we didn't really have much to take away from it. Today, you've got him being pretty direct, saying, yeah, we think we're going to extend the guy, even if it takes a while, even if it takes free agency. He was pretty straight with it. And it was fascinating to hear that right off the top. He did not hold back.
What do you think about Vladdy continuing to come out and say, I'm going to speak to everyone, including the Yankees? It kind of bugs me, Keeg. I mean,
yeah.
Like, I said it yesterday, it seems panicky from him where he keeps continuing to go back to the well. Like, dude, we get it. You said, any other player in any negotiation that I remember in any sport that said you got till the start of training camp, Phil Kessel was a great example, but he got the deal signed the day of the first season. They never said a peep. It was almost like, you guys want to screw around, I'll play ball that way. But he just, like, I don't know. Are they going to tell him to be quiet? Is he going to be quiet? Or what do you think his game plan is going to be?
This helps nobody. Like, nobody wins from this. This doesn't benefit anybody. And yesterday, guys, because actually a couple of days ago, I'd been having conversations with some people around the Blue Jays saying, you know what? It's been annoying. It's been distracting when he said it wouldn't be. But listen, I'll give Vladdy some leeway, and let's see if he's learned from this messy midsection of camp. Let's give him the chance here to stop that and move forward doing what he said he would do, which is not making it a distraction. Then I'm sitting here yesterday, boom, there comes another interview of him saying, these are my numbers. Yes, I'll play for the Yankees. Found out today that was a couple weeks old. So that's recorded from back when he was in the middle of a messier part of spring training. I hope that's behind him and everybody, because I keep running up against this point, fellas, where I'm saying, okay, I'm talking about this story, I'm writing about it again, but nothing has actually changed. People are just yapping more, and it's not helping anybody. So I'm hopeful that from this point on, that stops, because it's not benefiting Vladdy's side. It's not benefiting the Blue Jays side. I think at this point, clearly more of it's coming from Vladdy's side of this. That doesn't mean Vladdy directly, but Vladdy's side, his people, a lot of the reports coming out. At the same time, I also think, guys, that video is a perfect representation of what's going to happen in every single city. We've talked about this. It's exactly what's going to happen. That was from a 42-minute interview, and the clip we all saw was 7 seconds. Will you play for everybody? Yeah. The Yankees? Yeah. That's going to happen in Boston. It's going to happen in the New York Mets. It's going to happen in Texas. It's going to happen everywhere. And it's easy for Vladdy to keep getting in those situations when he'll say yes to an interview and suddenly you're being asked that question and you're saying yes again. So that's okay if he's putting up MVP numbers. There's a certain element that you're just going to have to tolerate, I think, along the way. But let's say, guys, if this is mid-June and the Blue Jays have lost 10 in a row and one of those comes out, it's a mess. It's a distraction. So he's got to be careful with those going forward, like really, because that gets dangerous.
With Keegan Matheson, and you bring up an interesting point here in terms of, into June and how the team's playing. And I'm curious your interpretation of this because, again, Mark Shapiro spoke with the media today, spoke with the writers down there. Keegan was in the room. And when asked about Vladdy and his future, he said, quote, "I think we're going to sign him. I think we're going to extend him. The reason I feel that way is because we have such a clear alignment on the desired outcome." In other words, they want to sign him. Vladdy wants to stay. But what if this team is on pace for 68 wins and he hasn't been signed by July 15th? And we're getting close to the trade deadline. That could also be
president speak and nonsense too.
Well, I guess that's what I'm asking. Like, is Mark? Did you interpret this as Mark Shapiro saying we're not trading him? It's not going to happen. So don't ask us this question again because we are committed to getting this done. Or is he saying like his belief is if it goes to next year and free agency, and you referenced that as well. You just told us that you've written about it. That maybe they have to wait until he gets out to the market to see what the numbers are going to be. Is Shapiro saying he believes Ty will go to the Blue Jays, so Vladdy's camp will come back to them honestly and say, this is what we can get somewhere else. Do you want to match it? And furthermore, Shapiro knows ownership will give him that blank check. So if it's $650 million, Mark's telling us this morning the owner is saying, go and give him $650 million. How do you tie all of that together?
The way I've been looking at it, guys, is because we talked about this 6 months, a year ago, and for a long time, I've thought the likely outcome here is that he goes to free agency. And if they can sign him back, like Aaron Judge is the easy example, that's how this will work if it ever works, because then the market gets to play a role. But the question I keep asking is, what's likelier here? That his number goes up or it goes down with how he plays this season? What would he have to do to make this number go up? Like hit 70 home runs? He would have to have an all-time, like a legitimately all-time MLB season for his number.
I think it only goes down, Keegan.
Yeah,
exactly. Now, if that is what the Blue Jays are betting on, you're always taking a risk if you're betting on something. But if that's what the Blue Jays are betting on at this point, their play can be, okay, let's play out the season. When we get to the market in December, the rest of baseball is going to tell you that our number is closer to reality. Exactly. That's the Blue Jays' likeliest play here. And I think it has been for a really long time. And you risk some hurt feelings and all of that. But I think that, like you said, Hayes, the Blue Jays do have some of those tiebreakers that Canada's team usually does not have. So as long as you can match a number, I think they'll be okay. But I don't think it's a situation where they look at trading him now whatsoever. But like you mentioned, if this is July, that's awkward because he might be your next shot at getting that next big thing. They don't have that right now. And that can get real bad, real awkward, real quick.
Well, if that's the case, what this could be also is Mark Shapiro, and he has a tendency of doing this, letting everyone know he's smarter than you. And basically what Mark's telling Vladdy is, you don't know the market in Major League Baseball. I do. I know it.
And you're going to play yourself right into the market where I think you are.
We're going to sign you because you're going to come calling back and saying, can I please have that $450 million?
And then you're going to say, actually, it's 400.
And then I guess he can play whichever. But that might be what Mark is actually doing here with a smile on, saying, this guy, Vladdy, thinks he knows baseball. I've been in the league for 30 years. I know baseball.
Well, see, that's what I wanted to ask Keegan. There's another part of what he said where he basically said there's only one player who sells tickets. Is that kind of what he said?
Like a marketing
Yeah, and I think he was talking about
price.
Ohtani, and then he went on to say, I mean, Keegan, you were in there, that other players can be great players, but if they're on losing teams, it doesn't really matter. What did you make of that part of what he said?
I like that one. I asked him that question about if there is marketing or external revenue considerations for Vladdy. Like, if you sign Vladdy, can you mentally think you're going to make another $5-10 million a year, generally speaking? And he said, where's the quote? I've got it right in front of me. There's only been one player in Major League Baseball who had a marketing case that significantly and meaningfully offset the value of his contract. One player, only one. And in every other case, what sells tickets in the hundreds of thousands is winning. He's talking about Shohei Ohtani, obviously, the Japanese market. He's saying that, we love Vladdy. Yes, he makes it a lot of fun to win, but you got to win. This cannot turn into another Roy Halladay or Carlos Delgado where you have a great player, a Hall of Famer or a near Hall of Famer that no one really cares about watching because you suck. That's the danger zone. You can't waste a star. And the Blue Jays need to, from their side of this, be able to build a team that they think they're going to win with Vladdy. Now, Shohei Ohtani, you could go wild on that, but they've got to win if they're going to have Vladdy there. And that's what he was getting to. He made it real clear when he said, one player, only one. So he was making it very clear that they viewed Vladdy as a baseball player. And when I say that's it, I don't mean that dismissively, but there's not a bigger, broader, big-brained marketing case to be made here. This is a baseball negotiation.
Keegan, where does Bo Bichette lie in all this? It seems like I don't know if he likes sitting in the weeds, but I haven't heard his name, or it's just undercover. Is he loving it, or what's his story?
He might be loving it, because if he was the number one guy getting asked about this, I think it would drive him a little nuts. But the last time I spoke to Bo about his contract was a couple of weeks ago earlier in camp. Said he hadn't heard anything. There hadn't been an offer, hadn't been negotiations. And the Blue Jays, certainly with how they do business, I think it would be very hard for them to agree on a number with Bo right now. I don't think that's happening before the season because he's coming off a bad year. I believe in the Bo Bichette, who was his first 4 years of his career. But if you're the Blue Jays and you don't want to get too risky with that, you're pointing at last season and saying, let's wait and see. But, guys, I really think that in a couple of weeks, everybody is suddenly talking about Bo. They should be already because this is still the number 2 player on the team, and he could be staring at making $200-300 million himself. But if he gets off to a hot start, like I already know that conversation is coming. Should they extend Bo instead of Vladdy? I know that that's going to come up in mid-April, in mid-May. And for now, he is under the radar, living a pretty blessed life where he does not have to answer my questions about that every day. But it's going to come, man, because once he starts hot, and he has looked incredible, like incredible this spring. If he starts hot, man, that is going to pick up really fast.
Yeah, as it should, man. Like, they both arrived at the same time, and they need Bichette. And he, like you said, he's having a great spring. Looks good. He's cut his hair. He's dialed in. Everything's coming together for Bo Bichette. All right, Keegan. Great catching up with you, man. We appreciate you doing this.
You got it, fellas. Take care.
There's Keegan Matheson of MLB.com, exclusively wearing pants to work. Very important.
Insane.
Very important to establish that. Yeah, the irony of, like, Shapiro talking about Vladdy as a ball player instead of a marketing component and saying, well, you have to win to make it worth it. You have to help him win.
Yeah.
You're the guy that's going to put the team together to make it pop. You can't sit there and say, well, we're not going to pay you because the team stinks. Who's responsible for that? You are. Like, you're responsible for building the team.
Unless it's like a sewer job on a player so the team purposely loses, and then you can say to the player, you never win. Like,
Right.
what are you doing?
Well, what he said is fans don't come to see great players on losing teams.
Well, and there probably is truth in that.
I think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, winning
Go to
gets
last
a
year.
buzz going, get a vibe going.
Do you want to go
sell
to
way
the
more
Jays
tickets.
game to see Vladdy?
Of course. No. And ticket sales, he said it today, are down a little bit this year, and considering what happened last year. And, like, Ohtani is a different beast because the Japanese market, I just saw someone tweet out that, like, the Dodgers are going to make billions of dollars from Japan. Forget the American market and the LA market, which is massive. Just Japan is going to pay his price tag for the rest of his career. McNeese State is taking down Clemson.
I had that one.
You had McNeese State? They were a 12 seed. Generally, a 12 seed does upset a 5 seed.
Yeah.
12 beats a 5 every year. McNeese State is through. All right, Frankie Corrado coming up. Matthew Shinetti coming up from L.A. ahead of Canada, Mexico tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, we sent Al's brother out into the city with a pair of Leaf tickets. We have to guess, or you have to guess, where he is for a chance to win them. Let's hear the final clue of the week.
Hey, Overdrive fans, happy Thursday to you. I am back to get you your final clue to find out where Al's brother's been hiding at this week. To get yourself a pair of Leafs and Flyers tickets for March 25th, here is your final clue of the week. The place that I've been hiding out at is very distinguishable from other Toronto parks by the stone and iron gates at the southern entrance.
Ooh, when you hear the cue to call tomorrow, the first caller through with the correct location wins a pair of Leaf tickets. Leafs Flyers March 25th. Find Al's brother is brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora, our family, the Ford family, and you. He's not at High Park.
Really?
Well, that's where we thought he was, but he's not at High Park.
The gates are like that at the southern entrance.
Yeah, it's not at the south end.
No,
Dude, don't be stupid. He's
not at High Park. I'm telling you, I don't believe that's where he is. He's at another very famous park downtown. All right, Frankie Corrado coming up. You have to know this. You're a downtown guy.
I know. I'm
Trinity
thinking
Bellwoods.
No comment. Frankie Corrado coming up. Matthew Shinetti coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.